I'm Jordan Freeman, now with Canadian Beats, and I'm speaking with Tim Hicks. Tim, I had the chance to speak with you at the CMAOs. When you came down there, you had just won Male Artist of the Year. Talk to me about what that meant to you and what you think it might do for your career moving forward.
Winning Male Artist of the Year, it's always great to be recognized by your peers. I try my best not to get caught up in the whole awards things as a career marker. It's like gravy. To me, the big prize is just being able to wake up every day and do music for a living. So whenever you're in a situation like we are today or like the CMAO, it's just nice to get together with everybody and high five and celebrate the scene that we've got going on, because we have a really exceptional scene, especially in Canadian country right now. And I'm proud to be part of it.
And you're a big part of it. What was that weekend like for you? Did you kind of learn anything that weekend?
What I learned was I shouldn't wear 3 layers when it's really hot out. I had a great time, and I think that especially with the CMA of Ontario, they get better and better at putting that show on every year, and I think this year it was fantastic. Standing next to Jim Cuddy singing Blue Rodeo, it was a career highlight for me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a legend in country music. Now, I wanted to ask you about Shake These Walls, because in my research, you've said that you have a personal connection to each and every riff, and so I wanted to ask you, A, what inspired it, what it's about, and B, the kind of reaction that you've been getting to it.
In country music, especially, when you go to do a record, it's kind of like a mix of songs that you've written and outside songs. So songs that other people have written either for you or that your management has found or your A&R person. And so, for whatever reason, when I was writing that record, I became obsessed with the idea of having a co-write on every song. And I really felt like I owed it to people to have my fingerprints on each song that I was going to sing. If I'm going to go out there and sing it and push this record, I want people to know that I'm behind it 100%. And I think to ask people in this day and age to drop $10 or $15 or whatever it is on a record, you should have your fingerprints on it. And, for some people that means just singing. For me, it meant co-writing every song. And so I was just really proud. Like when all the chips fell and when we had decided which songs were going to get cut, I realized that I did in fact have a co-write on each song. And so it's just important for me because I'm the guy that has to go out there and sell it every night. And that becomes a whole lot easier when you have a connection, a writing connection to the song. For me anyway. For everyone it's different, but for me that's what it was all about.
Yeah, I believe your wife Amanda actually took a leave of absence from work to move with your kids down to Nashville while you recorded the album. Talk to me about how she's kind of been there for you in your entire career.
So my wife was my cousin's best friend when we were growing up. So we've known each other since we were 6 years old. And we've been together a long, long time. And so she's been a huge champion of what I do, even when it wasn't going so well. Yeah, I mean, it was invaluable to be able to have that time with them while we were down in Nashville. We were there for 5 months while I was writing and working on the record. And it was really important to the process to me to be able to go home every night, bathe my kids and read them a story and put them down, have my family there really made the process easier for me. And I think that had they been in Canada and I had been in Nashville that entire time, you would have got a very different record. So I'm happy at the way that it turned out, and I wouldn't change it. I mean, if I could have them with me all the time, I would. But, when your kids start to get into school and extracurricular things, it's very difficult to just disappear for months on end to go on the road or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I couldn't have done any of this without her. I mean, she holds the fort down while I'm away, and I think she works way harder than I ever work. So, I mean, she's just a wonderful person, which is why I married her.
Now, something I found interesting about that album is I believe that you had a band in the studio, which I don't think you had in your past 2 albums. So how different was that in terms of kind of the recording process and getting used to that for you?
Yeah, so there are 2 different ways you can record a record. You can record everybody by themselves. Like, so for instance, how we would cut records before was we would cut the drums and then start layering in with the producer. And, Jeff Copeland produced my first 2 records, and he plays every instrument. So he would literally sit in his studio and just record each track by track until the record was done. This time around, I felt like I wanted to shake it up, and so Corey Crowder produced this one, and we just decided early on that if we were going to do that, we would go into the studio Nashville style with a band and cut everything live off the floor, and it was a very different experience. And let me preface this by saying neither way is right or wrong. They're just different. I wanted to hear what it would sound like if we did it that way, and it was exciting, really exciting to sit in the control room and listen to a band of exceptional musicians play the song for the first time through and nail it like it was on the radio. That was really cool for me, rather than, singing to an acoustic track and some drums, for instance. So, I wouldn't change it. I don't know what I'm going to do next time. I'm glad I did it that way. It was just a way for me to kind of shake up the creative process, and that's how we did it this time.
You brought it up, radio, 10 top 10 singles. Talk to me about how crazy that is for you.
10 top 10s is crazy. And for a guy that played many, many years without a song on the radio, we're sitting in the pub where, arguably it all started to happen. I mean, I played many years before I got to Gracie's, but I learned a lot in this room, and this room was imperative to what I do. I only ever wanted to hear my song on the radio, let alone a top 10, and to have 10 of those is just unreal. And I mean, that's a testament to my fans and to my team, because none of this happens without those two entities. I've got really great fans and a really great team, and I can't thank them enough for that.
Now, I'm curious. I scrolled your Twitter, I did all this research, and I noticed those shirts you have, the limited edition Canada 150. Talk to me, A, about what inspired them, and B, what Canada kind of means to you.
I can't imagine being anywhere else. There's just so many things about it I love. I love our attitudes politically. I love how liberal we are. Even the conservatives are considered liberal compared to other parts of the world and our U.S. counterparts. I just love our tolerance. I think Canada is the best country in the world, and I'm so pleased to be able to play music at the national level. And the shirts came from the idea. I had this idea. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could design stronger beer shirts for Canada 150, but that would look like they came out of a vintage beer case? Because there was a time when I was growing up where, my dad would get a t-shirt in a beer case. And I thought that'd be kind of cool if we could do that. And so I sent some example to our graphic designer, Mitch Nevins at RGK, and Mitch is just so talented. And he, within a day, had our design back to me, and I thought, this is it. We didn't even have to revamp it. I said, this is it right here. Let's just print these. And so I'm super excited about them. It's one of those things, like, I like to have merch that doesn't necessarily say Tim Hicks all over it. Like, I kind of approach it like, would I wear this? Do I want to wear this? That's the kind of thing. And so, the Stronger Beer Canada 150 shirts are a great example of that.
Let me just ask you about some of the places that you're going to be playing. You're going to be playing, I'm going to try to say this correct, Muscosepi Park, Blues Fest in Ottawa. You're going to be playing Dauphin. You're going to be playing right here at Budweiser Stage in August, and a ton of other places. Talk to me about what you're looking forward to with your next leg of the Shakeys Walls tour, and where you're looking forward to playing the most.
I'm really looking forward to playing Budweiser Stage. I mean, that's a venue that I've seen countless bands at. It's a bucket list venue for the boys and I. Ottawa Blues Fest is going to be great. We're direct support for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers on their 40th anniversary tour, so that's going to be unreal getting to watch them. Dauphin, Cavendish Beach. I mean, these are big country festivals in Canada, man, and to me, the bigger the better. Although I do like doing small gigs too. Like, I just love being on the road. I love playing in a band. I love the camaraderie. I love being able to reach out and touch people's hands and have that instant gratification of seeing the looks on people's faces when you play their favorite song or when you play their not so favorite song. I like them equally as much. I just love that instant connection with fans and with people, and because live music is where I come from, so I live for the gig. And when people ask me, people that knew me before all this hullabaloo had happened, excellent use of the word hullabaloo, when all this crazy stuff happened, what's it like? And I always say the same thing. It's like, we're just going to our gig. We're just going, but the gigs are a little bit bigger, and I get to sing my own songs, which is way better than doing covers, right? I live for the gig, man. I love playing in a band. It's just one of the things that I've done since I was 7 years old, and I think I'll always do it. Even when they stop playing Tim Hicks songs on the radio, you'll still see me out on the road someplace.
Well, that is not going to happen. They're not going to stop playing your songs because they are awesome. Now, I'm curious, not too many bands or artists do this anymore, but you recorded a live album. Talk to me about why you wanted to do that, because, I mean, that's just something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, and I would challenge more country artists in Canada to do that. For me, the live show and what I do is so important that I thought it was kind of a no-brainer, but the process of it happened by accident. We record almost every show, and as a means to critique ourselves, because you can really hear when something isn't working when it's recorded. Like when you're up there in the moment, little things can slip by you that don't slip by you when you listen back. And so we use that as a means to sharpen our tools and figure out what's working, what isn't working, what we can tweak, what needs to stay, what should happen earlier in the set, what should happen later. And so as we were reviewing the tapes, so to speak, Trump style in quotes, because there's no tape anymore, it's all digital. But when we were listening back, I thought, man, these performances were really good. And we were, as the band was heating up, I thought, man, by the time we get to Ontario, we're going to be on fire. Like we're going to be tight and it's going to feel really good. And when we got those tapes back, it was like, oh man, I wonder if we can do something with these. And we sent them to Billy Decker down in Nashville, who mixed my record, Shakeys Walls, and he mixed the Tim Hicks live record, which is really exciting. And I think that it's cool because it gives people a real solid dose of what they're going to get when they come to see us play. And honestly, it's not for everybody. It's a pretty aggressive show. It's loud, it's energetic, it's interactive. It's not for the faint of heart. And I used to joke that it's, when people say, oh, what can we expect? I said, well, bring a helmet. It's kind of like that, and I don't apologize for that. It's just that comes from playing in bars and from trying to entertain a room full of people that want to party. And I just never stopped that. I thought it was just so much fun. People seem to be digging it. And so, I've sort of become the Canadian country party guy by accident, which the irony is that in those days when I was playing in bars and doing that gig, I was the only sober one because I drove the van. So, the band would be wasted and the audience would be wasted and the staff would all be wasted and I'd be the only guy sober at the end of the night, like trying to incite a riot. So that's kind of what we do when we go out on the road.
That's funny. Now you mentioned that bring a helmet, but you also have a softer side, a more laid back side. You recently ran in the Rankin Cancer Run in Port Weller, and you also headlined the Twins Cancer fundraising Gone Country show. Talk to me about what those meant to you and why you wanted to kind of support those charities.
Yeah, well, for one thing, the Rankin Run in Niagara is a big event, and it's 100% of the funds raised go back into our community, and that's where I live. And so to me, I just wanted to participate in that. Cancer touches us all, whether we like it or not. My drummer's wife went through a bout of breast cancer. I've had cancer in my family. It's a terrible disease, and it was just a chance for me to get involved at the community level, and my whole family ran. My son ran in it, my wife, my daughter, and myself. So it was super important for me to take part in that. And the Gone Country show happens in July. And so, when they booked that and explained to me what it was all about, I said, hands down, I want to do that. Again, it's just an opportunity to raise some money in a community. I mean, you can never have enough money to go towards cancer research and those kinds of things. It's a horrible disease. So any chance I can have to use my talent to raise a bit of dough for that cause, I'm there in a heartbeat.
You're playing in Quebec. You actually played a country fest, La Penière, with the James Barker Band. You're going to be going over Quebec. What is it like to play in Quebec, and what's your favorite thing and place to do over there?
The new country thing is really exploding there right now, and I'm just fortunate to kind of be on the tip of the spear for that. I know there's other artists that have played there. We have a tour coming up in Quebec, which is unheard of for an English country singer, and I don't know what it is that's going on there right now, but they are digging it, man. They love it. And we played Festival La Penière. We played the largest rodeo in Quebec last year called Saint-Tite. Fantastic show, man. And then, when we announced the Shakeys Walls tour last year, the number of people that said, why aren't you coming to Quebec? Why aren't you coming to Quebec? And so I did what I never do, and I personally called my agent, and I said, listen, can we get a Montreal show going? There's a lot of people asking. And we were able to work it out. And we went and had a great show, and people had a really great time, and that's what sparked this tour that's about to happen. So I can't explain it. I think, in my humble opinion, that the reason that they love what we do is because we're a little bit country and a little bit rock, and I think that the kids there in Quebec can identify with that, because previously Quebec country has been extremely traditional, and I love traditional country as much as the next guy, but for whatever reason, this new sound that's happening, the kids are really digging. And I spoke a bit of French. I don't speak great French, but I speak enough that I was able to do some in the show. And I thought either they're going to hate that or they're going to love it. And thankfully, they loved it. And in the reviews that came out the next day from our Montreal show, they noted that they said Tim Hicks spoke more French than most bands do when they come to Montreal. And I found it heartwarming that they appreciated that. And so, last week when we played there, I made sure I even translated some of the songs a little bit into French. And and they love that. So I'm excited. I mean, when we are finished that tour this coming January, we will have played 11 dates in Quebec in the last 18 months, which is exciting. So I hope that we can continue to kick that door down.
I'll just finish off with asking you, what is in the works?
What is in the works? Wow. Okay, so I've already been down to Nashville to write the next thing. I don't know what it's going to be, whether it's going to be an EP or a record, or it's too early to tell. But, I'm concentrated right now on doing these dates in the summer and trying to make the show bigger and better than ever. And hopefully we can just keep the ball rolling, man. I mean, this is, for a guy like me that came from 18 years of playing live before I ever had a song on the radio, this is all gravy. And so if I can keep it going, awesome. And if the train fell off the rails tomorrow, I wouldn't be bitter. I mean, I've had such a great ride. So it's one of these things that I hope I can keep going for a long, long time.
All right, well, good luck, and we'll look forward to a lot more from you.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.